Another attorney commercial with big promises, millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Good morning, crew. It is Monday. It is May 18th here. Thanks for joining me on Peaks to Plains Weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Meister. I've got my American Classic Coffee Rocky Mountain in the cup today. And I needed it after a busy day yesterday. Mary and I did a couple live things with thunderstorms and then the fire near Campo. And that's where I am going to start early this morning because, as you know, heroic efforts yesterday by firefighters keeping the fire out of Campo. Pretty unbelievable stuff yesterday. There were many airdrops of slurry that really helped save town along with the efforts that were happening on the ground. And so here's where we are this morning with the fire. It is 28,000 plus acres. It exploded yesterday, making a big time run across southern Colorado in Baca County toward Campo. Good news overnight is that the evacuations were lifted across the entire county just prior to midnight, and Highway 287 was reopened. Now, I'm reading between the lines here, but that gives me confidence that things are going to be I think in a pretty big way, a good start to the day. It means they have confidence that at least in the short term here, talking 4 to 6 hours, that things are going to be okay. So that is good news. But this is going to be a challenging fire day. You can see how close the fire got to Campo. I did an interview yesterday with Jonathan Petramala, who he and I worked together at one of the newsrooms in Colorado Springs. Was my first stop in town. I'm going to share that interview with you now. Jonathan, when he left the Southern Colorado market, he grew up in Southern Colorado, east of Pueblo in Swink, and he has been all over the world covering weather conditions. I'm going to give you that interview, and then we'll have a live update when we come back. So here's that interview with Jonathan Petramala that I did yesterday. Well, we've got the fire burning near Campo, Colorado in Baca County. Joining me now, a colleague who I spent years with at KRDO in Colorado Springs, Jonathan Petramala, who has been all over the world covering active weather and situations like this. Jonathan, thanks for making some time with us here on Peaks to Plains Weather.
You know what? If you can't help out friends, then, what good are you? So glad to be here, Matt. Thanks for reaching out. And it's an intense situation. The fire is just right on the southern edge of Campo. It's made a few runs towards town. They're really putting a lot of resources from the air on this fire, a very impressive amount of resources. I haven't seen as many resources outside of California in terms of what they're putting down on this fire, trying their best to keep it from the outskirts and coming into town.
Tell us what like, where are you specifically in relation to town? And in the last, 10 minutes or so before you and I hopped on here, what have you seen?
Sure. We're sitting in town, just on the southern edge, looking south at this large plume of smoke, where most of the fire has missed town southeast of Campo. But there is still one part of the fire that keeps kind of circling around. You know, the fires that when they get large, they create their own weather,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like that it keeps kind of cycling back, and that's why they keep trying to paint the retardant right on the edge of town. They have a lot of brush trucks from around the region. They started with just a couple. More and more have shown up as this fire continually progressed closer into town. And they're doing their best to again keep these flames from coming into town here. And we're sorry, we're how you doing?
No, it's okay.
How's it going?
We're evacuating Campo.
Okay.
Yeah, we know all about fires, so as soon as it gets close, we're bouncing. We'll get north, I promise you.
They want you out, man.
They want you out.
Everybody out.
Okay. Are they thinking it's actually going to come into town now?
They've got mandatory evacuation for town of Campo.
Yeah, we've talked to 2 or 3 different cops out here, and they just said as soon as it gets close to leave. So
It's not too close.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Sorry about that, Matt.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's,
It's
you're
it's a
keeping
mandatory
yourself safe,
evacuation
and they're
area.
trying to keep you safe.
Sure.
And how?
Absolutely.
So, do you feel like how much of a run? Do you have a sense of how much of a run at town it's made during the day today?
It's gone several miles. It was closer to the border this morning, and then as the wind picked up, that's when it really started to make a run here towards town. The main head initially again missed southeast, but then there's been just a continuous edge here towards the west that keeps trying to make its way closer to town, and that's why they put that mandatory evacuation out. And obviously, most of the town did leave, but there's ranchers here, and they have cattle,
Sure.
and they're doing everything they
Right.
can to protect their livelihood and lives of their livestock. So, we saw them filling their irrigation trucks that they typically go out and water their animals with, but now they're using that to spread water around the corral where they've kind of gathered their cattle and their calves, and they're hoping that that'll be enough to create a fire break. Other ranchers have the large John Deere tractors with large discs, and they've been trying to make some fire breaks as well. And then, of course, they have those brush trucks where they go out and they're spraying the water down from the back of essentially a large pickup truck, and they have large water tankers coming in, filling up here in town at the fire hydrants here in town, and then they're going out and trying to fill up those brush trucks so they continually can work. So it's been a real battle, a true battle between nature and man. Of course, this is a very rural part of Colorado, very difficult to
Right.
get a lot of resources here quickly because there's just not a lot of people around. But they're doing the best they can, and we just hope that the wind will carry this past town and not into town.
Right. Well, I join you in thoughts and prayers to everyone there. Thank you, my friend, for giving us a report from there, and it's good to see you back in your home area. And welcome back to Colorado. I wish it was under different circumstances, but Jonathan Petramala in Campo on this Sunday afternoon. Jonathan, thanks for making time for us here on Peaks to Plains Weather.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, so, that was obviously right from the front lines there, and, folks that were making sure that everyone was evacuated from town, making sure that Jonathan and his photographer were aware of that situation there. I thought that was important to include that in the live interview. I didn't want to cut that out. Now we have a live interview this morning from Baca County, and I am going to welcome Megan England with us. She is the Public Information Officer for Baca County. Megan, thank you so much on what I know is a busy morning for joining us this morning. I am really, really grateful for the time. And why don't you give us a quick update on what is happening this morning in the vicinity of Campo and in Baca County with the Sharp Fire?
Sure, thanks, Matt. Like you said, my name is Megan England, PIO for Baca County Emergency Management. Crews kept a good handle on things overnight. We do feel okay about containment right now. Last check was about 28,200 acres burned, and 18,000 of that about in Colorado. As of now, no residences that are occupied have been reported as burned, so that's awesome news. At this time, we have no current evacuations in Baca County, but as you probably know better than I do, the weather today is going to be a little spicy. We're
Yeah.
supposed to get some more wind, so we encourage residents to really think about that and make sure they're signed up for alerts and prepared to go again if we have to. We have just been overwhelmed and really blessed by the support of everybody coming to help. I think yesterday, last count, we had over 200 personnel, both civilian and first
Wow.
responder, from fire departments, ranchers hauling water. It was incredible. So we still have crews out on the line, keeping an eye on things, and I'm sure we'll have some more coming in through today. But we just, ask people to stay alert and aware. And the best way to get the quickest information for local folks is to sign up for rave alerts at bacacountyco.gov/rave, RAVE. So that's
Okay.
really important. But like I said, no current mandatory evacuations. So
Yeah, and I think that's a good sign, right? I mean, if I, read between the lines, that means in the short term here, they feel good about where things are. You alluded to that. I want to talk about yesterday afternoon, Megan, if you don't mind, and you may not know some of these questions, and that's okay. I know things are moving fast out there. But in about a 5-minute period of time, I saw 3 slurry drops that looked like they were right on the edge of town. Do you have a sense of how many aircraft were involved yesterday?
I don't have an exact number for you. Last count, I think it was 3,
Okay.
but that definitely made a huge difference. We had guys literally out fighting fire by hand
Right.
with shovels, and between that and those drops, that was a huge impact to keep the town of Campo safe.
I know the shelter was opened in Springfield yesterday. And I think there was supposed to be a graduation that was scheduled. Was that for yesterday at the high school in Campo?
So yes, we evacuated the town yesterday afternoon, and graduation was supposed to be yesterday evening. So graduation has been postponed, but I think most of our evacuees are back in town and just doing damage assessment.
Do you have a sense of what the feeling is in town from residents? I mean, I know you might have interacted with some of them up at the evacuation center at Springfield School, but are people grateful? Is there still this sense of, oh my gosh, because I think you have to get through today, and then there is better weather on the way. There's cooler weather coming. There's maybe some moisture coming, in particular as we head from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Give me the sense of the people on the ground that haven't been involved in the firefighting efforts.
Sure. Overwhelming gratitude from all of us and our community. Everybody pitched in. That's what Baca County is known for. That's what we're good at. When things get crazy, everybody pitches in and figures out what needs done. So just overwhelming gratitude is the mood today.
Well, I'm grateful that it's still there this morning. It was scary for a time yesterday afternoon, no doubt about that. Megan, is there anything else before I let you go that you would like to pass on, or that people that are watching that aren't in the area might need to know, or how they can maybe help out today?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, just a huge thank you to everybody who has volunteered, who has offered to bring food, to bring supplies. That is fantastic. We have had a ton of donations. So just keep an eye on the Baca County Emergency Management Facebook. That's where we'll post any information about where more donations can be accepted. We did close down the evacuation shelter, which was where we had that originally.
Right.
And then just make sure you're signed up for those alerts at bacacountyco.gov/rave.
Okay, and yes, that is an important thing, I think, to get through today. Well, on behalf of Mary and I, Megan, I appreciate you taking time this morning to share what is happening there on the ground. And, kudos to the firefighters. Again, if you would pass that on, if you see them, I would be grateful. And, here's to today going the way we need it to go, and some better, cooler weather on the way. Megan, thank you so much this morning. I appreciate your time.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's jump into what we've got going on here with the weather today. That was great to have her with us because, it is going to be a challenging day. And here's what I mean with regards to the wind. They're getting a little bit of a break this morning, but as we move past 9 o'clock and we head into the middle part of the day, This area is south of the front that's going to be hanging out across the area today. We've got this system that's passing across the northwestern part of Colorado, and some of us are going to get some sort of impacts on the other end of things that we'll talk about here once we get past this fire coverage. But look what happens in the afternoon. And I'm going to just kind of go back here in time from 10:30 really, really slowly through the middle part of the day, because what is a south-southeast wind initially gets going out of the southwest. And so between about 2 and 4 o'clock, we get some wind gusts in this area that I think are underdone in the model a little bit, between about 40 and 50 miles per hour. Now you see the cold front just to the north of there that is going to move south this evening between 5 and 7. And that wind shift line, there's a couple wind shifts today. That's not great news, but the fire is going to wake up this afternoon. Then the front comes in and we get a couple days of some better weather. So my hunch is they have that north end knocked down pretty good. They're still working on it this morning. They continue to be ready for the challenging conditions later on today. And we do have red flag warnings for Los Animas County and Baca County, where we are going to be south of that front through the afternoon. And then we get to some better weather. So that's good news. So keep them in your thoughts and your prayers today. They have a good handle on things in and around Baca County, obviously, with what Megan said and some of the other information from overnight. So that is good news. It was interesting yesterday because we were doing coverage on thunderstorms and then shifted to the fire. Had a very strong thunderstorm that rolled out of the Pikes Peak region, got stronger as it moved across Elbert County, and took the same path as a storm on Saturday with some very strong wind gusts along Interstate 70, some hail out that way as well that ended up around 1.5 inches in diameter as the storm approached Kansas. And the wind gusts were quite strong as well, between 60 and 70 miles per hour on a day that featured some varying weather conditions, obviously across Colorado. It was in the 90s in the southeast corner where we were dealing with the fires, cooler off to the northwest. And today we still have that front sitting across the area. So we're going to be warmest in the southeast corner again. And some of us have some quite cool conditions today as we get set to deal with what is going to be some active weather here, because we've got this system coming in from the west. And you can see that early this morning. Now, it's about as far south as it's going to go right now. It is going to lift off to the northeast here as we head through the day today. But you see that moisture across the western slope of Colorado. That is going to head off to the northeast as well. And so that is going to impact our weather here as we move through the day. And we will jump into that forecast here in just a little bit. First, I wanted to say hi to you guys that are popping in here early this morning. Jim says that he is praying for the firefighters and the community. Thank you, Jim. Kathleen checking in this morning and saying good morning. Julie's watching this morning. Susan is in Palmer Lake. She says good morning. She's got fog on the deck. That is a good transition to what we've got out there this morning. And let's jump into it, because it depends where you are. We have had some showers out there early this morning. And you can see on the Tamco live radar here with a loop over the last 4 hours. As we got a push of cool air up against the hills, we did get some showers around Canyon City, just to the west of Pueblo West, and in parts of the Pikes Peak region. And so there are some roads that are wet this morning. You can see that here in Monument, and looking up toward the hill where it's 41 degrees toward Palmer Lake, where Susan said she has that fog out there. Makes sense. She's a little bit higher. She's up into the fog cascade. West of Colorado Springs is in the fog as well this morning. Woodland Park is also dealing with it as we sit at 36. So areas that are to the north of the front today are going to have just much, much different weather than what we get to the south of the front in the southeastern corner of the state. You see a D49 bus there on what is the last week of school from Highway 24 turning on to Woodman, where it is 42 and it is overcast this morning. South end of town, Fort Carson, it's 46, a little bit warmer. Roads are dry south South Academy, the roads are dry as well, but you see the mostly cloudy conditions to start the day. Pueblo, we've got some overcast. We're a little bit warmer as we sit at 50 with a southeast breeze at 8 miles per hour, and the humidity is up at 68% this morning. And we've also got some overcast in Canyon City. Trinidad, we've also got some clouds around as we look to the west there from the interstate at the Santa Fe Trail exit. You can see that there are clouds that are hugging the hills early this morning. While up on the Continental Divide in Monarch, it's a different story. There's sunshine there, but this camera is looking to the west, and over the next couple of hours, those showers are very, very quickly going to blast across Colorado here and move eastward. So we've got some active weather to talk about. A lot of us over the plains and the foothills are cooler than this time yesterday, and some of the mountain areas in the valleys, Gunnison and Alamosa, in that desert air, are actually warmer than what we've got across parts of the eastern plains this morning, where Lyman is sitting at 39 degrees. So it just depends where you are out there early this morning, but things are set to change up. And so I am going to now transition to our short-term forecast because it's going to be a little bit of an interesting weather day across Colorado today. So I'm going to come back to where we have the showers over the western slope early this morning. And I'm going to walk you through what happens with these because the upper level system is lifting off to the northeast. We're going to get a burst of what will be mainly snow up above about 8,500 feet. On the valley floors, we'll get a rain-snow mix or maybe even a change over to rain. And so between now and 10 o'clock, that moves east of the Continental Divide across the upper Arkansas River Valley, across Lake County, and gets set to move across the San Luis Valley here as we move through the late part of the morning. As this system moves across the valley, we may see some blowing dust. That's something to be aware of. For Alamosa, for Monte Vista, maybe up around Saguache, Del Norte, you're probably too far west of that, but on the east side of the county, for Fort Garland, for Crestone, you guys may have dust to deal with as well. And you can see the southern part of those showers kind of break up a little bit. And that's because there's some dry air on the valley floor, and that just sort of eats away at those showers. So for Canyon City, for Walsenburg, Trinidad, Pueblo areas off to the east, our chance of getting midday showers is not as good as what we'll have across Park County, across Teller County, the Pikes Peak region, and then certainly up into the Denver area, where between about 11 and 1 o'clock, a burst of some wind comes through and the chance of some showers and perhaps even a thunderstorm. So that's something to be ready for. And then that action kind of lifts off to the northeast as we head through the rest of the day with the departing upper level system. And we will, at that point, see the front make that run to the south as we move into the evening. That'll end up getting over the sharp fire. And for areas that are a little bit warmer than everybody else today, we'll see cooler weather move in for Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think through the overnight, we're actually pretty quiet. So let's watch what happens with the wind here as that system comes in from the west. The southwest wind picks up ahead of it. We see the wind turn westerly as the showers move through. And then you can see across the eastern plains as that upper level system clears the mountains through the back part of the day, that north wind develops and we get the deeper push of the front. That's going to drop our temperatures for the next couple of days for areas to the south of Highway 50 who have the warmer temps today. So there's quite a bit of variation over the area today with the front kind of hanging out across the area. If you're south of it, you'll be in the 60s and 70s. If you're north of it, you're going to be in the 40s and 50s today and more likely to catch some midday showers east of the mountains while the mountains deal with the passing of those showers here through the course of the morning. Now, once that system passes tonight, we get the chance of a freeze up across the Palmer Divide in particular and into northeastern Colorado, and you can see Kiowa and Lyman down to around 30. There will be some areas along creeks that are colder than that. But it might not last that long overnight tonight. I'm not sure that you need to drain the sprinklers back. You might want to cover them up, the exposed pipes that you have coming out of the house. And, you know, if you've got some sensitive plants, go ahead and cover them up. Over the big mountain valleys, we're going to be below freezing. But you can see for a lot of us in southeastern Colorado, east of the mountains, certainly chilly into tomorrow morning, but we will stay above freezing. And then the areas that were in the 70s and then the 80s in the southeast corner today, we cool back into the 50s and 60s tomorrow. And we kind of get that region wide. And it's a little bit interesting over the next couple of days how our precipitation chances are going to work out, because we have to keep an eye on this trailing energy coming in from the west. I'm going to talk about our extended forecast in just a little bit, and we'll get more comments from all of you as well. You guys are being pretty active here on social media this morning. You are on Mornings with Meister on Peaks to Plains Weather. We'll be back with the extended forecast.
At Phil Long Ford Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years. Basically, we're the top dogs of Colorado. And thanks to our deals, selection, and service, we've earned some pretty loyal customers. And our GM Mark, he's the most loyal guy I know. Even after I chewed up his shoe, it was delicious.
Great trucks, amazing deals, and belly rubs for dogs. Come see why Colorado drives Phil Long Ford Motor City. Hey guys, where's my shoe?
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.
This is John May, General Manager of Petrale Roofing, up on another customer's roof doing a free 21-point inspection. If you'd like us to take a look at your roof, give us a call today, 719-375-8773. We'd be happy to take a look and see the condition of your roof. Petrale Roofing, we're a Diamond certified TAMCO installer, which means we can offer a industry-leading 25-year workmanship warranty to give you peace of mind in the storm. Call Petrale Roofing, 719-375-8773. Schedule your free inspection today.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
And you know, everybody in Vaca County getting signed up for the Rave Alerts down there. I do suggest you sign up for Peak Alerts in El Paso and Teller County, and wherever you are, sign up for the alert systems in your area. You never know when things can change. Banjo, I didn't have time to get his barometer fired up today. What do you think about the cooler weather in the springs and fire danger in the south? Look at that. Peaks to Plains weather crew, he's not very helpful. But we'll go with a 5 today since we have varying conditions across the area. As we get this main system to move off to the north today, there's trailing energy back to the west. And that means over the next couple of days here, we stay unsettled as we get the cooler air to move in for areas that don't get it today. We get some lift to move through and several rounds of some showers and perhaps a couple of thunderstorms as well. So I've run the two models here through Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And you can see that the European model is a little bit more excited about some moisture over southern areas. That would be over a ½ inch as we move particularly into Wednesday afternoon. But this model's picking up on the idea as well. And I think in the southeastern corner of the state, our best chances of moisture are actually going to come Wednesday afternoon, evening into early Thursday morning. So a little bit unsettled here through the early part of the week as we get this system to the first piece of energy, if you want to think about it that way, kind of lifting through today. That goes off to the north. And then this hangs out back to the west while we've got cool air up against the hills. So on Tuesday, what we'll see is that cool air upslope pushing up against the hills, some overrunning up ahead of it. And as we hit the afternoon here, we'll see some showers and perhaps a thunderstorm develop over the mountains. And they may not make it too far east on Tuesday because the atmosphere will be a little bit too stable in the cool air. Some of this will be in snow over the higher mountain areas. And then as we head into Wednesday, we get this upper level system a little bit closer and we'll spread that moisture out across the plains. So zooming in now, here's tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the evening, and see how most of the stuff's kind of anchored up against the terrain of the Pikes Peak region. You get the sense here of the Raton Mesa doing a little bit of that, and up at elevation, still pretty high heading into the evening over the mountain areas is where we'll have some snow. If we can keep things around through Tuesday night, that snow level starts dropping, and we should get it down to around 7,500 feet or so into early Wednesday morning. So the wet mountains will get some snow, Sangres will get some snow, and the slopes of Pikes Peak will get some snow as well. You get down into the lower elevations, anything would be rain, and maybe we get a couple of those showers Tuesday night into Wednesday morning to try to move off to the east. But Wednesday, as the upper level system comes in and gets a little bit closer, notice how the atmosphere kind of recharges, and then as we move into Wednesday evening, you see that out across the plains. This would be some showers and thunderstorms into early Thursday morning, and let's hope that it hits the fires down there. There are 3 of them right along the Colorado and Oklahoma line that were started by lightning last week. And one of those is to the east of the Sharp Fire. One of them is to the west. And then there's another fire in Cimarron County, which is the most west county in the Oklahoma Panhandle. That is called the Tex Oak Fire. Tex OK, because it's right close to the Texas-Oklahoma border. That actually is the biggest of those 3 fires. And so, we need some water down this way. Unfortunately, the lightning strikes can also start some new fires. So that's something that we will keep an eye on. Then as we head into Thursday afternoon, and I think this is a trend here heading toward our weekend, we start to get into a situation where we see some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Thursday is going to be busier than Friday, and I think over the weekend, particularly for areas over the plains where some of those showers will move off to the east, and then I think they're more tied to the higher terrain here as we head into the weekend. So, like I said, as we move through the next couple of days, our local mountains will get some snow. We'll get a nice burst of snow to the west of Denver today. If you have travel plans up that way, over the next 6 hours, the travel conditions are going to deteriorate on the I-70 approach to the tunnel, also moving over Vail Pass, and then they'll see some improvement as we head through the overnight tonight. But up above about 9,000 feet, I think several inches of snow are going to be on the way. Now I'm taking you to Thursday. And so we got this trailing wave on the way out of here. There's another system that may be up to the north, and that's probably not going to do too much to our weather, but it does get us into this transition period here where we get kind of northwest flow, and that is going to send us into the pattern that gets afternoon showers and thunderstorms kind of developing over the mountain areas. And then watch what happens as we move through the weekend and into next week. Notice those black lines kind of going up a little bit. We get a little ridge to build in, and that is going to have the temperatures coming up, and the ridge is probably going to have us getting a little bit warmer as we move into the early part of next week. And so our extended forecast is shaping up like this. For Monument, as we move through today, in the middle part of the day, we'll get that burst of storms to move through. So be aware for that. Or of that, I should say. And then we're unsettled Tuesday into Wednesday with the chance of showers. Thursday, we get some thunderstorms, but notice how it's staying really cool here. And then we get a little bit warmer Friday on a drier day and a chance of an afternoon or evening thunderstorm behind that as we're pretty close to the hills and sitting up on the Palmer Divide. And the forecast for Colorado Springs isn't all that different. We'll get a burst of showers and perhaps a thunderstorm to move through today. We'll be unsettled the next couple of days with some showers around, a better chance of some thunderstorms on Thursday. Friday's kind of a cool but quiet day. And then as we move into the weekend and toward Memorial Day and next week, a chance of afternoon and evening storms. And I've got those in the forecast for almost every day in Woodland Park on the slopes of Pikes Peak. That doesn't mean you are going to get one every day, but they will be out there every day. And that's really typical for this time of year. Pueblo, our best chance is coming as we move into Wednesday and Thursday. I can't rule out a shower though tomorrow afternoon. I just think it's more likely the 2 days after that. And then we'll get into a quieter pattern here where the storms have a harder time kind of moving away from the mountains as we move into next week, but you see the temperatures start to warm back up as well. So stay with Mary and I here the next few days, because what happens one day can impact impact what happens the next day. We have to keep forecasting, even though these systems are close and on top of us. Keep working on those details. And when you live in Colorado and the terrain that we have to deal with, we'll just focus everything kind of over the next couple of days. Kathleen thought Banjo was cute. She liked to see Banjo. I knew he would make a little appearance. Clinton's like, ha ha, Banjo. Happy Monday. Marilyn says hi to Banjo as well. And Mike Parker saying hi to Banjo. You guys are suckers for dogs. I should just hold him up every day. And saying, I've got my American Classic coffee. Cheers. And I've got mine as well. And Betty says, thanks for what you're doing. It is so appreciated. And Betty, you're welcome. Mary and I are enjoying this and doing this. Deborah says, good morning from Fountain. She is praying for some moisture. I am as well. We need it. And Sally says that she is sending many prayers as well. Sally, you are a prayer warrior. I know that. And that is something that is always needed. Kim is also praying for Baca County. And I do that as well today. Once we can get past today, I think things are going to be better. But crew, that's what Peaks to Plains weather is all about. Live interview from down there this morning. And, you know, I'm not sure that some other places you can get some information may have even had that this morning. If what we are doing is useful to you, download the Peaks to Plains weather app. We would be grateful. Share it with your friends. Keep your locations turned on, as well as some interesting weather here in the middle part of the day. You know, one of the guys that is doing what Mary and I are doing, Mike, who runs East Tennessee Weather. He's in town on a trip with his family. He's been still working on the trip, getting all of his, information pushed out to his app and his website, his 24-hour channel. He's going to come over today. He and I are going to hang out in the middle of the day, share some, business advice, some advice about kind of being on 24 hours a day and what that means, and kind of support each other and have a cup of American Classic coffee together. So it is going to be good to see him and to do that with him. But this is a growing movement about, it's kind of the splintering, maybe is a good way to say it, of information from some of the, larger companies and what all comes with that, to kind of more direct connection, certainly from a weather perspective of, people that are making forecasts and trying to serve their communities. And so, we want to be here for you. Anytime we're doing live coverage, if you have something to contribute, we always invite you to join our coverage. These links are always the same. So write these down, put them in your phone as a contact. Like as the website, put P2PWX, P2P weather, Peaks to Plains weather, however you want to do it. And then you can come on here and you can ask questions. Now, I know some of you would never do that. You're just like, I'm not going on there. I don't want to present anything. But there may be a time where it comes where, we may be doing a tornado coverage or something like that. And you may, we might be like, hey, look at radar. It looks like a tornado might be on the ground. Well, you might be in a safe place and see that thing, and you're like, it's not. I can see the funnel cloud. It hasn't made it down to the ground yet. This is neighbors helping neighbors, and we would appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience with us. Or if you have a question when a storm is coming through, maybe you have a wedding you are putting on and you're trying to do it in the backyard or outdoors. We're happy to answer those questions for you. We can take those on social media, of course, as well. So Julie saying, thanks, Matt. Safe to everyone. Make it a great day. I hope you all make it a great day as well. Kathleen says, yeah, more and more people are cutting the cord. It is part of a movement of just how information flows nowadays, and I think that is totally okay. And Michelle says, good morning, Matt Meister. Michelle, good morning to you. Thanks for being here with me on Peaks to Plains Weather Mornings with Meister. I do it every Monday through Friday morning at 6:30 a.m. I appreciate you starting your day with me. It is fun on my end to start it with you, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.